Thank you. As Lloyd described it, it sounds pretty simple. And mid-year final review for budget, proposed legislation, add a checkbox to our permit for horizontal shale wells. Yes, no, you have a RUMA. If yes is checked, that's about a 2-second review. Fantastic, we move on. No, that starts to raise some questions. Was a reasonable attempt made to get a RUMA? Okay, that's pretty simple. They check yes, we move on. Or is there going to be an expectation at that point? We start asking questions, or we have policy, guidelines, rules in effect that would define what a reasonable attempt is. That's a little scary. If you're dealing with multiple entities, counties, townships, municipalities, or whatever, you have differing opinions between those entities. You have different staffing, different expertise, different funding, different priorities. What we've set up over the years with our permitting process, if Sound Energy or if Chesapeake or Carl Heinrich turns in a package of paperwork with us, they have a reasonable expectation based upon our guidelines, rules, and regulations. This is when they're going to receive their permit. Because we are the sole and exclusive authority for that permitting, we make the final decision. They have an expectation from a business standpoint. They can do their planning. They get us the paperwork, they get the permit. We at DNR are put in a position of trying to determine what's reasonable elsewhere in the state. That could be a challenge. We've avoided a number of those types of things in the past. Applicant signs a permit, they certify they have the right, which means they have a lease or an assignment of lease. We don't get involved, at least for the most part, we don't get involved in determining what's a good assignment and what's not a good assignment, because the legal nuances there get very detailed. The legal nuances of what a reasonable attempt to get a road use agreement could be as simple. My experience in other regulatory arenas, coal mining, industrial metals mining, and permitting there, where we do have other state, other federal entities involved, where the federal entity could have 3 different jurisdictions or regions involved in the permitting. The ability for ODNR to move permits through the system is a challenge. Those entities would have different priorities. Different staffing, different funding. We do our work, we'd be ready to issue the permit, it would sit there sometimes for long periods of time. We don't want to be in that situation. Simple check boxes, yes or no, are fantastic. The efforts Lloyd has done to get a template together, just a good starting point that will be uniform across the state if folks want to use it, is fantastic. Again, that'll make business a little easier for the applicants trying to do the shale work. So the devil's in the details right now and how it'll roll out with ODNR on being involved with RUMA. We don't want to be a final party. We don't have a problem putting it in our permit, checkbox yes or no. It's some of those details on then the expectation of us with our permit. We've got a pretty tight permitting time frame right now, unless we're in the coal-bearing part of the state. We've got some competing mineral issues that sometimes slow down permits. But for the overall portion of Ohio, it works like clockwork. We get the applications in within a reasonable period of time, the permits are turned out. We want to continue that process. We appreciate the fact that there's business decisions being made based upon when someone's going to get a permit. That's a key process regardless of what industry you're in, whether it's a building permit locally or whether it's an oil and gas well permit. And we want to keep that process moving as quickly as possible. We've been tangentially involved in the RUMA process. We've got a good understanding of it. We've met with a number of county engineers. We understand what their issues are. We have to be careful where our boundaries are from the Chapter 1509 standpoint, the regulatory responsibility of issuing oil and gas permits to ensure the effective development of the resource in Ohio. We don't want to necessarily reach out too far. We want to have a positive rule in this process, but we need a seamless and transparent rule. So, in a nutshell,